Do you find you're your own worst enemy? Have you been self-sabotaging? Do you have self-sabotaging syndrome? We're going to look at 7 steps to let you know if you've got it. How is it we can do some amazing and sometimes unexplainable things, like heal our own bodies by the power of our thought? Mother's intuition, the law of attraction. Can we really tap into our subconscious mind? Can we really create our own realities? It begs the question, are we novice gods? Thanks for joining me on the YouTube series, Are We Novice Gods? See, it turns out we can create a lot of amazing things in our lives because we have divine DNA within us. We're children of God, we are creators at heart, and we create these amazing things, and we also create our problems. And the problems come when we self-sabotage. So today we are looking at self-sabotaging syndrome. Do you have it? We're going to look at 7 questions that you can ask to find out if you've got it and how bad you've got it. So the first question is, do you believe you are a victim? And you can look at this in your life, like look at how you feel about your job. Do you have to go to work? Do you hate Sunday night because it brings about Monday morning? Do you feel like you are the victim of your job, of your circumstance, maybe of your relationship? Have you taken that victim mindset to where something is happening to you that you don't really like? It's an easy thing to do, trust me. I know a lot about victim mindset. I suffered from that for a long time, and in this series you'll find a lot of great ideas on how to get out of it. But that's the first question, to find out if you have self-sabotaging syndrome. Do you believe you're a victim? Next question, do you rely on someone else to save you? And what I mean by that is, are you always just hoping for something to happen that's going to magically change your circumstances so that then you can finally be happy, you can finally be at peace, you can finally achieve what's going to fulfill you and satisfy you and give you value in the world, give you value in your life? If you believe that, I mean, that's part of victim mindset, that you feel powerless, that you don't have the ability to get out of that, and that you must have somebody else that's going to save you. So that's question number 2. Do you rely on someone else to save you? Now the question number 3 is, are you anxious? Are you anxious all the time? Now, the way that you know if you're anxious is if you are constantly worried about something in the future, something that could maybe possibly happen, and you're worried about the outcome. You're not sure how it's going to turn out. You don't know if you're ready for it, and a lot of times you maybe have that prophet of doom in your head that says it's going to turn out horribly, and this is the end of your world and the end of your life as you know it. That anxiety comes when we're not living in the moment, when we are so focused on the future, and often we are thinking these horrible things that could maybe possibly happen to us, and it really destroys our peace and our happiness, and it does lead to self-sabotaging behavior, because you're then just so you use all of your energy on worrying about these horrible things, and as you worry about them, as you use your fear, that is how you actually create those negative things in your life. So check out that question, are you anxious? Now a similar question to it is, are you depressed? Now depression comes when you are focused on something that's happened in the past. You're living in the past. You're fretting over, maybe you haven't forgiven somebody. Maybe you haven't forgiven yourself. Maybe you're worried about past mistakes, and you're just so focused on all this baggage that you're carrying around, and you drag it wherever you go, and you hunk it around yourself, and you tell yourself, like your whole identity is based off of these bad experiences that you've had either with yourself or with other people, and you are depressed. And when you get that way, of course you start self-sabotaging, because you have this negative identity that says, because of these things, I will forever be this. So, again, look at that. Are you self-sabotaging because you're depressed, because you're so focused on the past that you can't fully live in the present? Now the next one is that you care too much about what other people think. You're so focused on how you're going to appear or what they think of you. And a lot of times this self-sabotaging behavior turns into that you're hiding, you're the shell of yourself. You're not living as the fullest expression of yourself because you're so worried, what are they going to think? You know, I can't say that, or I can't be that, or I can't do that, because you have these expectations that you've placed on yourself that are what other people think about you. I had a friend of mine tell me once, he said, you wouldn't worry about what other people think about you if you knew how seldom they even do. Now he was joking, of course. I think there was a lot of truth to it, but there's a lot of truth to that with all of us. You know, that we get so worked up on what other people are thinking about us, and often they are so worried about their own mess, they're focused on their own lives, and they're often worrying about what other people are thinking about them. But when you get into that squirrel cage of worrying about what other people think about you, when you're no longer living intentionally and deliberately, you are going to have a lot of self-sabotaging behavior. Number 6 is that you have rigid thinking. And what this is you have a fixed mindset. You think that maybe you were just born with a certain amount of ability. Maybe you believe you only have a certain happiness threshold that you could be, or that you could only be a certain weight, or that you only had certain talent, or that no matter what you do, it's not going to change anything. That is having a fixed mindset, a rigid mindset, one that does not allow for growth. And I'm blanking on her name right now. Carol Dweck. Carol Dweck wrote a great book called Mindset. And in that she talks about having a growth mindset where you believe that change is possible. And when you believe that, suddenly you are not the victim. Suddenly you are in charge of your life, or at least you have the capability to do that. And when you start living deliberately and intentionally, you can get out of that victim mindset because suddenly you have some control. But if you're not living that way, and if you do have a fixed or a rigid mindset, you're going to do a lot of self-sabotaging, which is not going to serve you well. And number 7 is that you have low self-esteem. Okay, now with low self-esteem, with self-esteem to start with, self-esteem is actually a skill. I was so happy to find it was a skill, because for a long time I believed, as many people do, that it was a fixed thing. You know, I had that fixed mindset belief on self-confidence, on my self-image. And anyway, it's a horrible way to live. Don't do it that way. But when you have low self-esteem, just understand that you can boost that. You can boost your confidence. You can boost your belief about yourself by doing certain things, by getting in alignment with yourself, by making commitments to yourself and keeping them. You know, such as having a regular morning routine, or having an exercise routine that you say, I'm going to do this every day for 30 days. And when you keep that commitment to yourself, you're going to just little by little, drop by drop, you're going to boost your self-confidence and your belief in yourself. Anyway, those are 7 steps, 7 key factors that if you have those beliefs, then you will exhibit behaviors that then will self-sabotage you. Your biggest challenge isn't what's going on outside. Your biggest challenge isn't with money. It isn't with relationships. It isn't even with your health. Your biggest challenge is in your mind. You got to get focused on what you truly want in life, and you got to get rid of all that baggage that says you can't do it, because those are self-defeating, those are self-sabotaging beliefs. And you need to focus on what you truly want, because you are a child of God. You have His divine DNA within you, and you actually can create the abundance, the life, the wealth, the just happy relationships that you seek in life. And it starts by getting rid of those self-sabotaging behaviors. Hey friends, want to get rid of stress, anxiety, and worry? Ready to use some of your inner creation powers? Visit scottwilhite.com and join me for a web class. If you do it soon, I'll give you a free planner